Greetings, everyone. In this brief yet detailed presentation, we want to highlight a rarely discussed correlation. In the oral traditions of the so-called Southern Bantu people, specifically the Zulu, there are significant parallels between their lore and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. To be totally forward, both the YAKUB story and the tribe of Shabazz mythos are found amongst the Zulus. YAKUB in Southern Bantu lore is known as Za-Ha-Rrellel, and according to their lore, he was an ancient scientist with an unusually large head, ironically, and was the creator of certain grotesque hominids, namely the Tokolosh. As we've discussed in previous presentations, all of the various Eurasian races do in fact trace their origins to ancient negative eugenics processes. With this being stated, Zulu lore also has the story of who they call the Amarire, who are the most ancient humans discussed in their tradition. These ancient humans, the Amarire, miscegenated with hominids called the Bajauni. From this crossbreeding, the so-called Bantu people were produced. As we observe, this is quite similar to the tribe of Shabazz mythos taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. To place these global Aboriginal folklores into more of a clarified genetic context, these histories are today called population bottlenecks in modern genetic research. For those who don't know or fully understand what population bottlenecks are, briefly I'll say, population bottlenecks are the drastic shrinking of a population in certain regions that have shrunken down due to catastrophes, leaving few individuals to procreate with limited genetic memory. The only major aspect of this science or history that is not discussed in the mainstream is that hominids were the products of such catastrophes that damaged the genetics of certain Aboriginal people. In other words, hominids are not the earliest humans. They are the products of severely degenerate humans who were impacted by geological or earth catastrophes. These topics can become somewhat controversial depending on the manner of how the information is presented. However, what has to be thoroughly understood is that all modern humans have hominid admixture except the oldest Aboriginal lineages. These old Aboriginal lineages, just so we're clear, display such features as very tall, jet black skin, with often iridescent blue or olive green undertones to their skin, woolly haired with minimal amounts of body hair, and gracile, well-proportioned facial features. With all of this being established, certain misconceptions on who are the oldest classifications of people can be cleared. Ethnic groups such as the Khoisan, Twa, or Indigenous Australian are all part of today's global Aboriginal collective, but they are not the oldest classifications of humans due to the various post-population bottleneck mutations that they possess. In summary, ancient Aboriginal people clearly had an advanced knowledge of genetic engineering, and the purpose of this presentation is to commemorate the teachings of our great leaders, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Zulu elder Baba Credo Mutwa, but also to respectfully correct certain errors with updated information. Within Zulu lore, the Amarire are described as red, which is more of a symbolism of the element of pure copper and its relationship to melanin. However, again, keep in mind, the true Aboriginal humans possessed eumelanin that worked at its optimal level, therefore they were jet black. In the tribe of Shabazz myth, The messenger taught that the Earth's aboriginal humans were straight-haired in similar phenotype to the Tamil of the Indian subcontinent. However, we know this to be false, respectfully speaking, because straight hair is an indication of Neanderthal or Denisovan ancestry. We must note that these overall concepts are correct, such as in the Shabazz teachings. The positive eugenics that took place in Central Africa was centered around the marking of a blue star, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This blue star is Sirius, and this teaching delves into the fact that Aboriginal civilizations practice eugenics based on astronomical alignment. Stay tuned for upcoming presentations. Olito.